By morning, $15,000 was gone. A first-class trip to Japan, designer bags, jewelry, matching watches with our cousin. A week later, she walked back through the door, skin-tanned, eyes smug. Dad looked at me, shaking his head. "Stop pretending. She would never touch your money." I smiled, because the card she used wasn't what they thought it was. I remember when she used to braid my hair before school, when she'd slip me the bigger slice of cake at birthdays. Back then, she was my ally in this family. We were the only two who understood each other's silences, or so I believed. But love has a way of rotting quietly before you notice the stench. The night she took it, I woke briefly to a whisper of movement, the faint metallic click of my drawer. Her shadow lingered in the doorway just a second too long. I kept my breathing slow, steady. By morning, the transaction alerts began. Tokyo flights, five-star hotels, gift shops that didn't just sell souvenirs, they sold status. I didn't call the bank, I didn't call her, I just watched. I learned more about her in those 7 days than in 27 years. Her posts were a confession, each filtered photo a timestamp. Her geotags told me exactly where she'd been, when she'd been there. Every receipt she posted was another nail in her own coffin. She thought she was untouchable. She thought she was clever. She forgot I was patient. The first move was simple. I contacted my bank, not to report theft, but to flag the card for monitoring. I had replaced it 3 weeks earlier after losing the original. The one she took was still active, but linked to a shadow account, one I'd created for a reason. Each transaction she made didn't pull from my savings. It pulled from the bank's fraud department, which had already been notified. Every charge was documented, recorded, waiting for her return. Next, I spoke to my cousin, the one she traveled with. I didn't accuse. I congratulated her on her amazing trip and asked how my sister managed to afford it. Her answers came easily, too easily, enough for me to take screenshots of every message. I also called a friend in the airline security department. I asked for arrival footage under the guise of a personal concern. A woman with my sister's face walked off a first-class cabin, wearing a watch worth more than my car. Evidence layered over evidence. When she came home, she acted as if nothing had happened. Suitcase in the hall, duty-free bag on the counter. Dad asked about the trip. She lied, of course, said a friend paid for everything. He believed her without blinking. But I was done seeking belief. I wanted consequences. That evening, I invited her to sit with me. No accusations, no raised voice. Just a small stack of papers slid across the table. "Your trip looks fun," I said. She froze at the receipts, the bank statements, the screenshots. Her eyes darted to Dad, who was watching now. "What is this?" she whispered. "Every step you took," I replied. Dad jumped in. "This is ridiculous. You're making things up." I tapped the last page. The bank's fraud report. Her signature at the checkout counter. The footage still paused on my phone. The silence after was heavier than the accusations. 2 days later, the bank called her. Fraud investigation. Possible criminal charges. Her cousin, had already distanced herself. The gifts returned for questioning. She begged me to drop it, offered to pay it back in time. I reminded her she'd already paid, just not in the way she imagined. The beauty of my plan was simple. I never had to lie. I just let the truth arrive with paperwork attached. The same way she slipped into my room at 2 a.m., the law would now slip into hers. I didn't celebrate when she got the letter confirming a court date. I didn't gloat when Dad finally stopped defending her. Revenge doesn't need a party. It needs silence. And in that silence, I could hear her breathing, fast, shallow. The sound of someone realizing the game is over. She taught me that blood doesn't always mean loyalty. I taught her that betrayal doesn't always mean you walk away untouched. She took what she thought was mine. I took what she never thought she'd lose: her safety, her freedom, her ability to laugh at my expense. Now, every time I see a credit card in my drawer, I think about how quiet the house is without her arrogance. And I sleep knowing no one dares open it at 2 a.m. again.